Caitlin Clark hands out Sophie Cunningham punishment during Fever practice. The Indiana Fever were in good spirits on Saturday ahead of their much-awaited rivalry showdown against the Chicago Sky on Sunday. They held a practice session at the team facility at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Saturday morning before flying to Chicago later in the day. Fever reporter Brian Henshin captured a lighthearted moment during the practice session, which involved Caitlin Clark making sure that Sophie Cunningham was punished after the latter appeared to have lost a shooting contest to rookie Michaela Timpson. In the video below, the team is seen excitedly celebrating Timpson's half-court heave. Clark then pointed Timpson to Cunningham's direction, who at that point was already on all fours at center court. Clark made sure that Timpson would follow through on Cunningham's shooting punishment, which saw the rookie step over her veteran teammate. Clark can be seen attempting to step over Cunningham, too, albeit in a more cautious manner, Caitlin Clark still dealing with injury. Clark was in practice gear, and it seems that she took part in some of the shooting drills. She was still limited, though, as she continues to nurse a lingering groin injury. On Thursday, the team announced that Clark still had no timetable for her return. The reigning Rookie of the Year will not take the court on Sunday against the Sky. She has joined her teammates for the trip to Chicago, though, which means that she will continue taking on the role of a cheerleader/unofficial assistant coach on the bench for Sunday's rivalry showdown. It began like any other afternoon practice inside the Indiana Fever's training facility, laughter echoing off the hardwood, sneakers squeaking, coaches barking out drills. But midway through Tuesday's session, the vibe shifted. And at the center of it all were two of the most competitive players in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. The moment had been brewing for weeks. Cunningham, recently traded to the Fever from Phoenix, brought her usual fire, fiery defense, fearless drives, and a mouth that never clocked out. But when she got a little too physical during a fast break drill, Clark did something unexpected. She paused, smirked, then glanced at Coach Stephanie White. "Mind if I call this one?" Clark asked. Coach nodded. "Your floor rookie." And with that, Caitlin Clark issued a punishment. The backstory: built-up tension or friendly fire. Sophie Cunningham is no stranger to chaos. In fact, she thrives in it. From viral on-court shoves to post-game quotes that would make Ric Flair blush, she's built a career on being the player everyone loves or loves to hate. Since arriving in Indiana, she's quickly earned a reputation in practice for pushing rookies to their limits. And no one bore the brunt more than Clark. "She's tough," Clark said in an earlier interview. "She guards me like I stole her lunch money." The two had already traded elbows, screens, and sarcastic comments. One time, Sophie intercepted a pass and mockingly whispered, "Welcome to the W." Clark didn't forget. So today, when Cunningham barreled into her during a transition play, no whistle, no foul, Clark simply stood up, dusted off, and smiled like a villain in a superhero movie. It was time to settle things. The punishment, 1-on-1, first to 7. Clark clapped her hands and announced to the team, "Let's run it. 1-on-1. Me and Sophie. First to 7. If I win, Sophie has to rebound for me after every practice this week." The gym exploded. Cunningham raised an eyebrow. "And if I win?" Clark didn't flinch. "I'll wear a Sophie Nation headband to media day." Challenge accepted. The duel, trash talk meets talent. They cleared the court. Teammates surrounded the sideline, cameras came out, and even Coach White sat back with crossed arms. The duel started with Cunningham powering to the hoop, classic bully ball. 1-0. Clark responded with a step-back 3. Net didn't move. 1-1. Each point was a battle of styles. Sophie's gritty, in-your-face defense versus Clark's finesse and flair. They bumped, spun, and chirped at each other. At 4-4, Sophie banked in a shot and shouted, "I was born in the paint." Clark dribbled slowly at the top of the key and fired back, "Too bad I was born to break ankles." Then came the turning point. At 6-6 game point, Clark faked left, spun right, and pulled up from way beyond the arc. Swoosh. She dropped the ball, shrugged, and pointed at the rebounding rack. "See you after practice, champ." The aftermath: respect earned, rivalry forged. As laughter echoed and players surrounded them, Cunningham couldn't help but laugh. All right, she said, mock bowing. "Queen Clark, I'll get your boards." But the competitive tension didn't fizzle. It only matured into mutual respect. Later, Cunningham posted an Instagram story of her chasing down Clark's missed jumpers during shooting drills, captioned, "Punishment Day 1. Somebody tell her to miss at least one." Clark reposted it with a simple response. You started at smiling face with horns. The bigger picture, leadership, legacy, and locker room chemistry. For all the banter and buzz, the moment revealed something deeper. This wasn't just a fun rivalry. It was a leadership exercise, Clark asserting herself not only as the face of a franchise, but as a competitor who demands excellence, even from veterans. Cunningham, a WNBA bruiser with years of experience, didn't back down, but she also didn't sulk. She accepted the loss, paid the price, and in doing so, helped spark a culture of accountability wrapped in comedy. Coach White later told reporters, that wasn't about scoring. That was about culture. Caitlin showed she's more than a scorer, she's a tone setter. And Sophie? She's the kind of vet who gets it. That's how teams get better. Fans react, social media goes wild. By the time the team finished practice, the one-on-one duel had already gone viral. Clips of Clark's game winner racked up 3 million views in under an hour. ESPN posted a breakdown. Even NBA stars weighed in, Trae Young tweeted. That was cold. Rookie got grown woman swagger. WNBA fans on TikTok coined it the punishment play, and hashtag ReboundGate trended for hours. Final thought, fun, fire, and the Fever way. Moments like this don't show up on box scores, but they matter. They build chemistry, deepen rivalries, and shape identity. In one afternoon, Caitlin Clark didn't just bury a shot. She cemented her leadership, sharpened her edge, and maybe even unlocked the best version of Sophie Cunningham. And for the Indiana Fever? That's a win worth more than any final score.